Welcome to Whispers of Infidelity, a place where mysterious love stories and tales of desire unfold. Wishing you a joyful and energetic day. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next story. On a cold winter day, in a cozy apartment, Emma, 40, a captivating woman, lived with her husband Stephen, 45, and his son, Ethan, 19. Emma and Stephen had been married for a year, but lately, Stephen, engrossed in work, paid little attention to her. This left Emma in the prime of her beauty, feeling neglected and yearning. Ethan, at the peak of puberty, was curious about adult matters and often secretly watched Emma bathe. She knew but stayed silent, feeling a mix of unease and an indescribable thrill. That day, Emma invited Ethan to go shopping to lift her spirits. The tall, awkward teenager eagerly carried her bags. After shopping, they decided to relax at a sauna near the supermarket. In the steamy, dimly lit room, Emma, wrapped loosely in a towel, exuded an irresistible allure. Ethan, flustered, tried to hide his curious glances. Emma smiled, chatting casually, but inside, a wave of emotions surged. She wondered if she was crossing a line or merely savoring the attention she'd been missing. The air grew heavy with unspoken tension. In the sauna, humid heat enveloped the air, punctuated only by the soft drip of water on glowing hot stones. Emma, wrapped in a thin towel, sat on a wooden bench, her alluring figure subtly visible through the fabric. Across from her was Ethan, her husband's son, also in a towel, his tall frame betraying a nervous gaze that tried to mask curiosity. The confined, steamy space felt both intimate and stifling, as if every breath carried an unspoken tension. Emma shifted slightly, adjusting her towel, inadvertently exposing a glimpse of her slender shoulder. She caught Ethan's eyes lingering before he quickly looked away, his cheeks flushing. She smiled, attempting to ease the moment with casual talk about their shopping, but her voice wavered, betraying a struggle within. Ethan responded briefly, his tone unsteady, clearly uneasy. The heat drew beads of sweat that glistened on their skin, intensifying the heavy atmosphere. Emma closed her eyes, breathing deeply to steady herself, but Ethan's youthful, vibrant presence stirred something she couldn't ignore. A restless emotion crept into her, and she wondered if Ethan felt the same undercurrent. Neither spoke further, but the silence between them seemed to weave its own story, charged with things left unsaid. In the sauna, silence hung heavy, broken only by the faint hiss of steam. Emma sensed Ethan, her husband's son, sitting across from her, unusually quiet. His eyes occasionally darted toward her, hesitant yet unable to hide a mix of curiosity and shyness. The heat made sweat glisten on her skin, and she knew those eyes followed each droplet's path. The confined space amplified the tension, as if they were teetering on the edge of an unspoken boundary. Emma tilted her head, wet hair clinging to her shoulder, and broke the silence. "Pretty hot in here, huh? You holding up okay?" she said, her voice soft with a playful lilt, a faint smile on her lips. Her words, like a breeze, eased the moment but also deepened the intimacy in the air. Ethan startled, mumbling, "Yeah, it's fine." He gave an awkward smile, his gaze briefly meeting hers before flicking away. Emma caught his unease but, instead of stopping, pressed on lightly. "You've grown up so fast, hardly the kid I met anymore." Her teasing made Ethan flush, his face reddening, but he didn't respond, only lowering his head slightly. The distance between them seemed to shrink, not through words, but through the unnamed emotions stirring within them both, weaving a quiet connection in the steamy haze. In the sauna, the steamy haze thickened the air. Emma glanced at Ethan, his eyes still stealing shy, curious glances at her. She smiled, beckoning lightly, her voice soft. "Come sit by me. It's cooler over here." Ethan hesitated but moved closer, settling beside her, so near their breaths seemed to mingle. The shrinking distance quickened Emma's pulse, though she tried to stay composed. She leaned slightly, her towel slipping just enough to bare her slender shoulder and the curve of her neck, glistening with sweat in the dim light. Ethan's gaze lingered, then flicked away, his breathing growing heavier. Emma sensed the shift in the air, not just the heat from the stones, but a magnetic pull drawing them closer. "How's it feel? Relaxing?" she asked, her voice lower, almost testing herself. Ethan nodded, his voice husky. "Yeah, pretty nice." He edged closer, his shoulder brushing hers, a fleeting touch that startled them both. Neither spoke, but the silence now pulsed with unspoken emotions. Emma closed her eyes, trying to quell the thoughts rising within her, yet Ethan's youthful, vibrant presence fueled an undeniable attraction. The heat between them wasn't just from the sauna, it was something deeper, stirring in the quiet intimacy of the moment. In the sauna, the air was thick with steam and unspoken emotions. Emma and Ethan sat close, shoulders touching, their breaths intertwining. In a fleeting moment, Emma's hand brushed Ethan's as she adjusted her towel. They froze, their eyes locking, deep and filled with longing. No words were needed, the silence burned like fire. Ethan leaned in slightly, and Emma, as if drawn by an unstoppable force, met him with a soft kiss on his lips. They paused, aware it was wrong, but their eyes betrayed their hearts. The second kiss came swiftly, fiercer. As if all barriers had crumbled, Emma's trembling hands tugged at her towel, letting it fall, revealing her sweat-glistened body. Ethan, unable to resist, let his towel drop too, his gaze captivated. They pulled each other closer, hands exploring the contours of each other's bodies, every touch igniting sparks. The sound of water hissing on hot stones mingled with their quickened breaths. Emma felt the vibrant energy of Ethan's youth while he was consumed by her allure. Though reason screamed to stop, their bodies refused to obey. In the hazy, intimate space, they surrendered to the forbidden moment, lost in a blaze of desire, the outside world forgotten as they gave in to the overwhelming pull between them. Emma and Ethan, no longer restrained, surrendered to their forbidden closeness. Their hands roamed each other's bodies, touches growing bolder, devoid of hesitation. The sound of water hissing on hot stones blended with their ragged breaths, fueling the fire of desire. Emma pulled Ethan closer, her eyes clouded with pleasure, oblivious to the world beyond or the moral lines they'd crossed. Ethan, driven by youthful vigor, moved with deep, powerful thrusts, making Emma tremble. She clung to him, her body arching, reaching the peak of ecstasy in their intense union. Each of Ethan's movements pulled her into an uncontrollable wave of sensation. She felt the warm rush of his release, a primal connection that fused them as one. The sauna's heat and hazy ambiance amplified every sensation, making the moment breathtakingly intense. No words passed between them, only soft moans and the pounding of their hearts. In that fleeting eternity, everything else dissolved. There was only them, lost in reckless abandon, heedless of the consequences waiting beyond the door. In the sauna, the steam slowly dissipated, leaving a gentle stillness. Emma and Ethan lay side by side on the wooden bench, their bodies still warm, sweat glistening in the dim light. After the torrent of intense emotions, they settled into a state of quiet fulfillment, as if every longing had been sated. There was no awkwardness or regret between them, only a profound, unspoken understanding that their relationship had irrevocably shifted. Emma rested her hand on Ethan's chest, feeling his heart still racing. He turned to her, his gaze no longer hesitant but filled with sincerity. Words were unnecessary. Every look, every touch spoke volumes. Emma offered a soft smile, her wet hair clinging to her forehead. And Ethan responded with a gentle squeeze of her hand, as if to hold on to this moment. The air around them remained warm. But now the heat stemmed not just from the steam but from a newfound connection, deeper than the physical. They knew what had happened was forbidden, yet in that moment, it didn't matter. They only wanted to cling to this closeness, if just for a little longer. The sauna door remained closed, but they both understood that once they stepped out, nothing would be the same. The sauna door creaked open, hot steam dissipating into the cool air outside. Emma and Ethan stepped out, their bodies still warm, but the chill of the hallway snapped them back to reality. They slipped into robes, their eyes meeting briefly, carrying a silent understanding of what had transpired. The space was quiet, save for the soft echo of their footsteps on the stone floor. Emma paused, turning to Ethan, her voice low but firm. "We'll keep this a secret, all right?" Ethan nodded, his gaze sincere yet layered with unspoken complexity, as if grappling with his own emotions. No more words were exchanged, but that promise hung between them like an invisible thread, both binding and leaving room for the unsaid. They walked on, the pale light of the winter afternoon casting shadows on their faces. Emma brushed back her hair, trying to appear composed, but questions about the future stirred within her. Ethan walked beside her, silent, yet the connection between them simmered, far from extinguished. Neither knew what lay ahead, whether they would keep their distance or if that spark would ignite again. With their shared secret, they stepped into the world outside, carrying an open-ended future, full of possibilities yet to take shape.